Hi there everyone, Kitch here again. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to use a for loop to repeat an action in SoundFlow. So here in SoundFlow, I'm going to select my default package, which is where I want to create my new script. And I'm going to click the plus sign here and click new script. And I'll call it for loop. Press OK. So now I'm going to write some temporary code in here, just some test code. And I'm going to write alert, which is going to bring up an alert box. And inside the alert box, it's going to say hello. And a semicolon at the end. So if I run this now, as you can see, an alert box comes up with hello. All great. Now say I wanted to repeat this 5 times. Now, the first thought would be, well, that's easy. Just repeat it 5 times. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now we have the code repeated 5 times. And when we run it, we get hello, 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 hello. And then it stops. So you'll notice, by the way, the keyboard shortcut I used to duplicate those lines was Option, Shift, and the down arrow, and also works with the up arrow. Just a quick tip for you there. So now looking at this, the way that we've duplicated the code here isn't very efficient. And I say it isn't very efficient because, well, this is only 1 line of code, but say you had like 30 lines of code that you needed to repeat like 30 times. It would make the script huge. So we want to avoid doing that because it's bad practice. So instead, what we're going to do is use a for loop. So to use a for loop, we simply type FOR, then open parentheses, and it actually makes the closed parentheses for you. That'll save you a bit of time. And write VAR and I, that's the name of the variable, and then 0, which is what we're assigning to the variable, then semicolon, then I is less than 5, which is the number of loops that we want to do, and then we put a semicolon and then I plus plus. Then we want to do an open curly bracket here, and then a closed curly bracket here. And now we can format that by clicking the Format Code button here, or using Option Shift F. So now what we've got is a for loop that's going to loop 5 times. It starts off saying I is 0, and if I is less than 5, which 0 is less than 5, it's going to then increment it by 1. And this is the increment symbol here. The increment operator. So it's going to go through, and as soon as it gets to 5, it's going to stop. And so if we run this code, we'll see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so it runs 5 times. So now, say we wanted to alert the number of times that the script is run. So let's personalize this. Let's put another variable here. And we'll call the variable name. And we'll make the variable Bob. Okay, so now in the alert box, let's write hello. And then we'll put a plus sign here. And we'll say name. And then another plus sign here. And then we'll say the loop has run, and then a plus sign, and then we'll type I because that's what the loop number is. I, then plus, and then space times. And now, if we run this, you'll see what happens. It says, hello Bob, the loop has run 0 times, and 1 time, and 2 times, and 3 times, and 4 times, and it stops. So it was starting at 0 because when it got to 5, it was actually 4. So now what we need to do is we need to change this up so it actually says the right number of loops. So to do that, we can either come down here and put in brackets +1, and format that. And if we run it now, it will run the loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or instead, we could take this away. So we'll undo that and get back to that. Instead, we can type in here 1, change this to less than or equal to 5, and then run it, and it'll do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now say you wanted to run this in reverse. To run this in reverse, we'd simply change this here, this 1 to 5, and the 5 to 1. We'd change the less than sign to greater than, and then we change the operator, the incremental operator, to the opposite, which is minus minus. So now if we run this, we'll see what happens. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like so. Now say you wanted to apply this to something in Pro Tools. Let's remove this here, and we'll remove this line of code. So we've just got the for loop. We'll change this back to what we originally had, which is like this, and these operators. So this is the original for loop code. And now let's, we're going to be putting the code in here. So we'll write enter code here. And now let's head over to Pro Tools and have a look. So here in Pro Tools, I've got a clip in this track here. And say I wanted to duplicate this, say 8 times. And to duplicate it, let's use, instead of using the Command D key, keyboard shortcut, let's go to the Edit menu and choose Duplicate from there. Because it's always best to use menu selections rather than simulating keyboard shortcuts. It's much more robust for SoundFlow. So let's the path that we're going to be taking to get to the menu item is Edit and then Duplicate. So let's head back to SoundFlow and have a look. So let's replace this enter code here, and we'll write sf.ui.protools.menu click, and then we'll do an open parentheses and then open curly braces, and then we'll write menu path, and then we're going to create, because the path is an array, it's got 2 elements in it, we're going to do the open and close square brackets. And the first one we'll put in there is edit, because it's in the edit menu. Then comma, and then duplicate. Okay, and then close that off. And we want to repeat it 8 times, so let's just change this 5 here to 8. And so now that's all set up. Now what we can do is we can add a keyboard trigger. I'm going to assign this to Pro Tools, and I'm going to click the record button here, and I'll use the keyboard shortcut Control X. And now if I head over to Pro Tools now and I select this clip here and I use Control X, you'll see what happens. 1, 2, 3, and it duplicates it 8 times. So that is how you use a for loop to duplicate something with, or to duplicate an action with SoundFlow. I hope that helps. If you have any more questions, let me know, and I'd be happy to make a video for you. See you later.